Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in as ever. Do us a big, big favor. Hit the like button, share button, retweet button as well. We're here to talk Alex Telles, give you the latest news surrounding this. I must have had about 30 direct messages today asking me for an update, what I thought, what I felt in relation to this deal. So we're going to delve into that now. So 2.5, 3 hours away from Man United, of course, kicking off tonight in the EFL Cup against Luton. And it feels like a really important game just to get a bit of momentum, bit of fitness into the squad, and maybe just a bit of a feel-good factor back around the football club. As ever, like I say, hit the like, hit the share button. Please sign up and be a member of the Football Terrace as well. It's really, really important that you do that, and sign up to the Football Terrace clip channel as well. I'll share a link with you on that in a moment. I actually probably should add a link for the clip channel into the description, but there we go. Oh, we've gone out of focus. We'll come back in just a second. There we go. It's a lot better. But I hope you're doing good. Terry, your voice is back. Yes, my voice is back. It is back. Back with a vengeance. Terry doesn't sound like the Undertaker anymore. Yeah, it's getting there slowly but surely. Getting your vocal cords back. Hopefully for an important and exciting and exhilarating game this evening. But by the way, we want to go past 1,000 likes for every video now. It's a bare minimum. Please do that for us. That's your job as the viewers to help us get there. So a big thank you to everyone that does that every single time they watch our content and support the Football Terrace. So there's lots of different reports circulating today in relation to Alex Telles to United. Now, let me say, last night I did a stream. I still got doubts in my own mind as to whether or not this deal is going to happen. I am genuinely still doubtful. Genuinely still doubtful, worried and concerned. That may just be some fatigue from my point, but I do still harbor those worries and those concerns. I really, really do. One of the reports I read this morning, though, in the Times was interesting. It says that further talks are expected over a possible deal for Alex Telles this week. He has a release clause. This is what I didn't realize, of £36.7 million. It does say that Porto are willing to sell him for a lot cheaper. However, that a lot cheaper is actually around 25 million euros. That in itself is complete contrary. It's contrary to the reports that they wanted 20 million euros and we were trying to drive that down. And this is sometimes why, again, I am still not convinced that Telles is going to be a Manchester United player at this point. But we go, why are we trying to negotiate 20 million down? Well, actually, he's got a 36 million pound buyout clause. They want 25, 26 million. We're trying to get it a little bit less. What we've been told this afternoon, and a lot of this has come from at In the Know Premier League, that United have bid 20 million euros plus 5 million pound add-ons. Like I've said a lot when it comes to these deals, it often isn't the overall price that's being negotiated. Often it is the structure of the deal, what the add-ons look like, the sort of the attainability of those add-ons for the vendor. And of course, an area of protection for the buyer to not set themselves up for failure from a financial standpoint. So there's some of the, there's also another report that I read this afternoon that Alex has also told his teammates at Porto that he expects to leave and join Manchester United in the course of the next 7 days. But it certainly is an interesting one. And I know it's one that a lot of people want to see go through. They want a better player in those positions. As I've said, I'm remaining very, very neutral on this. Very neutral in the sense of it just has the hallmarks of the Sergio Reguilon deal. And I don't want that to be the case. I want this to go through. I want this to happen. I want this to be real more than anything else. That's my view, my opinions on this. It really, really is. But yes, Alex Telles has told his teammates he expects to leave the club next week. An agreement to be reached in the coming days. That agreement is rumored to be around 20 million euros with a 5 million pound performance-related add-ons on top. And remember, that would mean Man United are picking up a player who has a 37 million pound buyout clause for a good sort of 30% cheaper than what people would have expected. That in itself would represent amazing financial business. And of course, one of the best left backs in Europe in Alex Telles. But I'm still not convinced that he is going to be a Manchester United player. There's a live comment here that says, I'm on the fence. Yeah, that's how I fit with this as well. I feel exactly the same. I feel very much on the fence in relation to this deal. But I want your views. I want your opinions. Skype lines are open. If you fancy giving us a bit of a buzz, you might want to talk about this. You might want to talk about some other transfer rumors, tonight's games in the EFL Cup, anything that's on your mind. Feel free to call in now. Hit that like button though. We're on 212. We want to fly past that 1,000 mark before the end of this stream. Do it for us right about now. And let's see what's being said. Terry, what's your thoughts on Duncan Castles? Everything he said outside of Portugal news is absolute BS. He's been wrong so many times about United. Never trust that Pratt again. I don't know what Duncan Castles has reportedly said, so please educate me on that, and I'll give you an opinion. Hussein, welcome to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say?
Hello.
Hi, what do you want to say, my friend?
Yeah, so Alex Telles might be going to United, and I think that's a good deal. And to be honest, I'm not surprised the deal was going to happen in the first place, because I know in April he changed his agent to Penny Zahavi. So I think that's why he had those Chelsea rumors back in April and May, although eventually they got Ben Chilwell instead. But yeah, I wasn't surprised. I think there was always going to be a club in the Prem that was always going to get him. And I think it's very good that Man United are stepping up to get him, and for the price as well. And I think it's also good considering the relations they have with Penny Sahavi as well. I think a lot of people remember when United got Rio Ferdinand, and he was at the time for Rio as well.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I mean, it certainly represents good business as a player. As I've said, maybe I'm a bit jaded. Maybe I'm a bit fatigued with the Man United news. I almost don't want to... I don't want to count my chickens too early. They're, you know, when the Times are reporting on these deals, you've had Jamie Jackson reporting on these deals. It gives me hope, but it was just what Fabrizio said last night, you know, where it was kind of very ambiguous, very open, and he ended it with PSG is still looking for a left back. It just reminded me so much of the Sergio Reguilon deal with Tottenham, where maybe we pulled out of this deal a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and our name is being used to keep any potential moves he has sort of anywhere else alive. I hope not. We've added Pav to the call. Pav, what's your opinions on this, mate? The rumor keeps picking up pace. Are you convinced by it yet? Do you think we're genuinely trying to negotiate a deal for him at the very least?
I think we are. And why I think that is because there's more reports coming out, and I'm seeing less links with him being linked to PSG, because obviously at the start there were reports saying that PSG were also looking for a left back, but I don't think they're actually willing to pay the 20 million euros asking price for him. And obviously I've just seen a couple of tweets now where someone's obviously they're not like blue tick journalists, but obviously one of the guys, as you know, that in the know, who's pretty much got a lot of the stuff right, said that in the coming days a formal bid will be made for Alex Telles. So I'm going off by that. So I'm hoping that the bid does go in, but I'm kind of concerned about the rest of our transfers, because if we're going to spend, say for instance, we spend the rest of this week doing this deal, we've literally got a week left. And if we're trying to look at a centre-back, from what I've been hearing this morning, and also the Sancho deal, I'm kind of concerned about, are we actually going to make any more moves apart from this deal?
Yeah, I suppose my view would be this. I don't think Man United are going to sign a centre-back this year. I get the feeling that they're going to try and get Upamecano next summer. I very much doubt we're going to put a bid in for him this time around. I just think that's the way we're going to go, as an example. I know that will frustrate people, but I think that's what's going to happen. I feel in the last week of the window, we will throw a mammoth official bid in for Jadon Sancho. Now, I don't want to go over old ground and debate whether that's the right approach or not, because I think everybody's kind of had their say on that. I just want, at this point, I just want the player in. That for me is the only element that I care about. But I do share your reservations and your concerns and your worries about this.
I also have another concern, which no one hasn't been talking about for a while now, because I think the last time it was mentioned when it was before this like negativity started around the club. So Paul Pogba has a year left on his contract now. Since that report about Mina Raiola coming out saying that he will stay at Manchester United, blah, 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 he's got a year left on his contract unless the club obviously trigger that extension. And he can go and talk to other clubs in January. Now, I haven't heard any reports about Paul Pogba signing a new contract. And with the negativity around the club now, I'm concerned that is his head going to turn again?
Look, what I would say on that, just quickly, just to address it, the report was that once the season starts again, that's when the conversations with Mina Raiola and Pogba will start. It's very unlikely for an agent the size of Mina Raiola to really be doing new deals unless they are critical over the course of the summer months. He is more on him. He's busy getting his players transfer moves, etc. That's likely to start happening once the window closes. So I think you'll start hearing more about that mid to late October as an example. But I think it's a fair shout. Cameron now joins us. Cameron, what's your views on all this, bro?
So with Tellus, I think it's going to happen. And the reason I think so is because I think something like I mentioned with, we've mentioned it too with Thiago, top players can choose where they want to go, kind of, nowadays. And I think Tellus being at the end of his contract, he made it clear to Porto, like he's done there. And he decided he wants to go to the Prem. If you're Tellus and you take a look at the Prem, what top team needs a left back? United fits the bill. His agent has ties with United. It seems like he sent his agent in to be like, get me to United. I don't think we were looking at him to begin with. I think it was an agent-led deal. So you know how a lot of times you hear United feel they were used to bring so-and-so to the table. I think PSG is being used to just make United get this over the line. It seems like his first choice, and this has been months. Like I sent you that link however long ago about Tellus wanting to come to United. Was the report on Sport Witness. It was never United being interested. It was always Tellus wants to go to United. And it also fits the bill with what Ollie's looking for with players that are choosing to play for United. And clearly you want to go to United for multiple reasons, but like the wages too. If he's going to be making 4 times as much on 75K, like 75K a week is nothing for United, and that doesn't break our wage structure. I think part of what would have held this deal up before was one, with Regular, you had the age profile, but it was also they do have faith in Shaw. But I think now, as even Shaw comes out and says we need more players, I think that's what's kind of probably accelerating this deal. I feel, and I do believe it's agent led, but this is one I can say like I'm confident will happen because of all the different reports, and the agent and just the player's desire. The player made it known months ago that he wanted United. So
I understand that, and I think what's interesting as well today about negotiating prices down, it's pretty much been confirmed in the United Kingdom that spectators returning to sporting events is very for at least the next 6 months isn't going to happen. So that is the best part of the Premier League. That's going to take us through till March. There's 2 months remaining after that. So clubs now know almost officially that match day revenue is gone. That's between 60 and 70 million pound a year for Manchester United Football Club. So this notion, again, I don't like to praise anything we're doing, but if on every signing we make this year, we can shave 5, 6, 7 million pound off the total cost. And I'm not talking the actual fees. I'm talking drive the wages down, pay the, people said about the when it comes to Jadon Sancho, well, why would United not just pay his bonuses to sign him early? Well, that could be 5, 6 million pounds. And in a market where we're losing 60 to 70 million and there's almost no way of making that back, you have to be frugal with your money, and it's as simple and it's as straightforward as that, So I think that's also why United are waiting, as an example. So I'm just pointing it out there. So for me, a player with a 37 million pound buyout clause, the club wanted around 25 for him. We're probably going to bring him in for somewhere like 20. That's good business. It means over the course of over the course of the summer, you've managed to save yourself a lot of money. Equally, we might be able to move we still need to move a few more players on. That's imperative for Man United. That's probably actually disappointing me right now more than anything else. Smalling,
I think
Jones,
that's holding us back the most.
Yeah, I agree. For me, if Smalling, Rojo, Lingard, Jones, Pereira, those 5 accumulate a total combined salary a season at Man United of about 50 to 60 million pounds. Those guys alone could be the difference between us signing 2 more players and signing nobody. Not their transfer fees either, just their salaries. You know, Phil Jones, 70, 80, 90 a week. Lingard over 100,000. Pereira, 75,000. Like, you start adding this up, so much money. So that's important as well. But the Tellus deal, I really want to believe in it. I really want to believe in it like yourselves do. There's just something in the back of my mind that's stopping me. And maybe it's just, I did feel quite hurt after the Reguilon deal. And not because Man United pulled out. We were right to. I think because the media and the credibles sold it to me that it was moving into those final stages. And then afterwards, we find out we pulled out a week or 2 before that. They sold it to us that we were still looking at Thiago. Now, I always said I felt that Thiago would go to Liverpool, but it's the way they kept on saying that we're there or thereabouts still. And it turned out we walked away from the deal just before we signed Donny van der Beek. And it's like, hang on, you guys must have known that. You strung us along. So that's the only thing now, once bitten, twice shy. I had a lot of faith in the credibles over the course of the summer, but those 2 pieces of information have really made me question not their integrity in the sense of what you're releasing, but is this like typical media? We'll release part of the story because it looks good for certain people. You know, we saw the big argument the other day. We had a journalist in the Talk Sport studios over here, Cam, and Simon Jordan, who used to own Crystal Palace, was arguing with him. And the journalist admits that they sometimes have stories. It could be transfers, it could be scandal, whatever it is. They go to the clubs and they say, we've got this story, doesn't look good for you, but if you can give us like an exclusive interview with the manager or something brilliant a lot down the road, we'll bury the story. And that, for me, is an area of journalism that troubles me massively. Does that make sense? You know, have some of these journalists this summer push stories on Man United because they know we as fan bases are desperate for positive news. Have they done it, led us down the garden path and helped create this? I don't know. But I feel a little bit jaded by it.
I get that. And I completely, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out tomorrow, like, he's going to pitch. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's hard to, and I've always said this about the English media, like, I don't understand how they're allowed to just do this. There's so many lies that get pushed out, and it's insane. Like, when you see like Woodward do his like postseason or whatever, and he's like, we were linked to 300 players or whatever, and we talked to maybe 5 of them. It's like, that never happens in North American media. Like, normally if you see teams linked with a player, it means 110% that the agents have been in contact and the teams have talked to them. We don't know how far along they got, but we know that those conversations happened. But in the British media, in Europe, just all around Europe, like Spanish media, the tabloids there, it is wild to see the amount of lies pushed out. Like, every week it's Pogba going back to Juventus. You have Mino Raiola come out and say, which is why I'm very confident he'll sign a new deal, so long as things don't go sideways like crazy, because Mino Raiola isn't the type of agent to come out and speak on things that aren't true. Like, he won't say it himself. And like, when he came out and said, no, everything's good now, Pogba's going to sign a new deal soon, like that, like, before it was always like, he's not, he was his mouthpiece, and that's what his job. And he even was honest. He's like, I've never even spoke to Ollie, and Ollie was like, yeah, he's right, we haven't spoke. So I do believe, like, Pogba, after Mino Raiola came out and said, yes, a new deal is definitely going to be happening, I'm pretty confident that it will. It just depends on what United offer him, and I could see Pogba trying to get the bag, which makes sense.
And that makes, and I totally get that. The Pogba stuff, I'm fairly relaxed about. We've got thank you very much to Faisal Hock for becoming an official gold member of the Football Terrace. It means a lot. And a super chat here from Niall O'Callaghan that says, I believe United will only make one more signing and foul in their bid for Sancho. There appears to be no clear structure in terms of transfers, as they only appear to buy star players and not players to fit the system that works. Well, listen, I think that's a fair point you make. There appears to be no clear structure. And like I said this morning, it's once bitten, twice shy. We have so little trust for our board that as soon as a negative story or something negative is put out there about them, we tend to believe it because of how, we've been treated in the past. And I totally understand that. It makes a hell of a lot of sense.
On the transfers, what I would just say, let me just outgoings as well.
One sec, mate. Let me just finish my point on this super chat. Sorry.
Okay.
I feel like, barring Dan James, Gallo's a 4th choice striker. It's like signing a 4th choice, a 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper, and the same thing. our signings have all been pretty successful in terms of, Nick said this brilliantly when arguing about the Maguire thing the other day. You don't need to like Maguire, but you can't argue with the facts that Man United's defense last season, and I know we started off terribly this year by conceding 3 goals. There's no denying that. Last season, our defense improved impeccably well, and the 2 signings at the back were a massive, massive part of that. It can't be denied. That's a system thing. So the point is, those 2 players made our system better defensively by over 40%. If we improved again by 40% this season, that means Man United are only going to end up conceding like under 20 goals. So I mean, we're not going to jump 40% again. It's almost impossible in football. But I get your point, Neil. You will sign some that work, and you'll sign some others that don't. That's quite normal. That's why I want to break this habit of Man United and actually give a manager 2 or 3 summer transfer windows before we throw them out or judge them, because all we end up doing is creating a new problem where we've got a new manager who has a squad full of players that are not free system. So we need to be very, very mindful with that. Pav, you were going to ask something, mate?
Yeah, I was just obviously asking, obviously, where I said I was concerned about the transfers, I've also a little concerned that some of our players who should be leaving, they're not really linked to any clubs. But obviously, the Lingard rumours, they're being kind of squashed at the minute. This, from what I've been reading this morning, that Tottenham aren't interested, and Jose Mourinho doesn't want him to come to Tottenham. He's not looking at him. And obviously, the Smalling deal, why hasn't that gone through to Roma? Are we maybe looking at keeping him now because of our defensive issues?
I don't think. Okay. What I'll say on that is this: Man United fan base is the only fan base out of the top 6 who doesn't believe they're tier 1 journalists. So if Man United's tier 1 say we're signing someone, we disbelieve it. If we say we're not signing someone, we disbelieve it. Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, they believe they're tier 1 journalists. Like, they told them the world was flat, they'd agree to it, right? That's that kind of level. I think there is an interest in Jesse Lingard. I think what Spurs have done is play down the £30 million by saying let's deny any kind of contact. I think that's the strategy. That's my view on that. I just mentioned that selling of the other players. Man United, this is where United fans have got to be so careful with their wants, because if we want Man United to get better sale prices for players, we must play hardball like other clubs do with us. Smalling is worth every bit of 20 to 30 million euros.
100%.
He is. When you consider what lesser players are being sold for, as an example, he is.
He was
If we let him leave for 15 million euros or something cheap like that, that again undoes all the hard work that, by the way, Matt Judge and Woodward are incompetent in this area. But I would still rather see them try to do better than just conceding defeat. We cannot allow players to leave under market value. If you think about players that Lingard, that Smalling, that Jones, that Rojo are as good as in football, I want to see them sold for the same level. I mean, Liverpool might just be about to get somewhere between 20 and 25 million pounds for Brewster, who quite frankly at the highest level has never kicked a ball. That's brilliant. If United are going to be selling like Pereira and Lingard, I wouldn't say they're as good as it. Like the talent and potential of Brewster is beyond them. But in terms of what they can deliver, it isn't. If we're not picking up between 12 and 15 million pounds for each of those players, we're mugging ourselves. We're literally mugging ourselves. And we can't afford to do that. And do you know why we can't afford to do it? Imagine if we wouldn't have undersold all those players in the last 7 years. Like 16 million for Welbeck, 6 million for Chicharito. You start adding sort of 30, 40% more, maybe 100% more in some cases onto those players. We have enough money now to buy Sancho. And I'll have to, if every deal you do, you lose on average 5 to 10 million pounds, over the course of 10 deals, you've lost 100 million quid. And we're already hemorrhaging money out the club, paying for the Glazers' yachts and other business ventures. Why, oh, why would Man United fans want to hemorrhage even more money out the club? This notion that it's not my money, I don't care, is stupid. It's literally stupid. We have to care about how good or bad our financial business is because we don't have a bottomless bucket of money. So I don't know if that makes any sense. That's my views.
So I, like Terry, I completely agree with you. When I see people being like, just get Smalling out for 5 million or whatever, I'm like, that's insane. He just finished in the Italian team of the year. And Roma's coming in trying to lowball us because the player wants to go there. We cannot, I'd rather keep Smalling than give Roma a discount there. It's like, listen, we gave you a great loan. We gave you an option to see how he'd work in your system. Now you know he's a center back you need and fits your system. pay up. Because if it was the other way around, we'd be quoted 40 million for Smalling. It's like we have to stop like looking at it as we just need to get Smalling actually proved his worth. Somebody like Jones, I would be more appended to being like, you know what? Yeah, let him go for nothing because he hasn't been able to play. He hasn't trained. He hasn't been fit. I would be way more okay with us letting Jones go for Smalling went and bossed Italy. He went and showed them like how good he is. Like I'll give Inter Milan at least some credit. They came in for our players and they offered fair market value, and we're like, cool, here you go. I'm not going to let a team like Roma come in and play hardball. Like I completely agree with Woodward in this sense. Like don't sell him if you can't pay 20 million euros, then you don't deserve a player like Smalling. Plain and simple. Because like somewhere in their prem, they'll probably want him for cheaper. We could even still use him. So it's like the fan base has to get over this whole we need to get players out at any cost, and it's like no, we need to get players out
and you're right, Cam.
Some of their value.
And why you're so right, Cam,
bend over.
And why you're so right is because it's those actions in the past that have led to us being a weak and soft touch. Because this is the way it's looked at. So you're coming in here trying to hardball us on Sancho and get the price down, but we know you bend over and you don't even take it up. You don't even take it up the Jaxie. They bang you a new one, bruv. They make you a new ass. Do you know what I mean? Every single time you do a deal. So why are we going to be scared of you? You have to create the aura like Daniel Levy has, like Edwards has, like the whole of the Dortmund setup have, where it's like you're hard to do business. Arsenal went through this for years, where Arsenal didn't only lose their best players, they lost them for a pittance. They lost, like, think about the great players that have left Arsenal, been sold. How many went for like record fees? Barely any.
None of really.
Because it was bad business. And one area that we need to improve on, whether Woodward and Judge stay or not is irrelevant. It's about the aura of United. We cannot allow players to leave for silly sums of money when lesser players. Nathan Ake, in my opinion, he's better on the ball than Smalling. Yes, he's not a better defender than Smalling. If he's worth 40, right, Smalling's worth every bit of between 25 and 30. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Smalling is better than Tyrone Mings. He is better than Tarkowski. He is better than Dunk. He's better than all them kind of defenders. And look what the prices they're being quoted for.
100%.
It's mad. And if Man United allowed themselves to do that, that would annoy me more than keeping him. Because it's like, I'd rather, sometimes I just say, no, what? I'd rather bite my nose off, keep him here, pay his salary, and let him go for free in 2 years' time. Then honestly, I'd assert myself all the time.
But see what will happen though?
If I understand.
Sorry, go on, Pat, go on.
Yeah, obviously I understand because obviously clubs are looking at what we've done in the past of our previous outgoings, and everyone's obviously going to try pay less because obviously we have a record of selling players for cheap or just getting rid of them for a low cost. So obviously I understand that. Obviously my concern was just that because we have quite a big squad of players who don't really feature, it's a concern for me that incomings are going to be harder for us because we still have a bigger squad than there's certain players that were still here. But obviously I understand that we can't be bullied into selling them on the cheap because otherwise it will never change. Clubs will keep doing it. And obviously if they don't get it for cheap, they'll just go get someone else and pay someone else that money. But obviously I understand we have to change as a club, but we can't be held to ransom for even like selling our own players for cheaps. But obviously you want like obviously
I hear that. I've got a super chat here from Shane who says this club is run so badly from top to bottom. I will always stand by Ollie and the team. If we as fans keep running this club into the ground, it will sink even more. It's time to stand together. I agree with a lot of that sentiment. I call it middle out. Top to bottom annoys me as a phrase. It's middle out. The middle of this club are the Glazers. They own it. And they're the core of the club, and they're rotten. And you'll all know if you understand if something in the middle of a structure is rotten, that will spread in some way, shape, or form. And you know, the most important thing is to cut it out. The point I make is this: I don't want them here. But if they are going to be here, we have to do things better. So I'm not in this weird frame of mind that suggests, oh, I'm not happy with how things are run, so I'm suddenly not going to care about how things a run. That doesn't make any sense. Like you have to sometimes make the best of a bad situation, because David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson did that. And by the way, how much money we've spent between Fergie retiring and now is enough money to win Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues. How do we know that? It's been proven by Liverpool. You know, it really has been proven by Leicester. You know, you can win things, but not spending billions. How you do that is by having a structure is by behaving a certain way in the transfer market. Are we doing it perfectly yet? No. Are we trying to? It feels that way. The problem we have is we've been hurt so much in the past, and we have such incompetent people running our club that as soon as that one little bad thing happens, we all throw our toys out of pram again. And like I've said this morning, and I've gone over it 100 times again, we then start abusing our players. We start attacking our players. That makes them play worse because they lose confidence, and the cycle continues. And on the transfers, we just need to be we just need to do things that little bit better, in my opinion. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very much. As always, everyone who's called into the show today had their say. Really great to hear from all of you. We'll be back tonight at full time after the League Cup games. Not doing a watch along tonight just because I've got some personal commitments. Back on watch alongs from tomorrow. But until next time, everybody take care of yourselves. Good night. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.